Hey, what's up, everybody? BDL 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so Lakers tomorrow got a pretty big game, man. Game three. Dylan Brooks had a lot to say. LeBron James didn't. Essentially, he was more or less telling everybody, "Look, I'm not here for the BS. I got a game tomorrow, so let's wrap this up, man. Let's not talk about anything in regards to Dylan Brooks or getting in the back and forth." Um, I like his statement. Basically, he said something along the lines of, uh, you know, experience is the best teacher in life, and I got a lot of experience or something of that nature. I messed up the paraphrase, but all in all, he's essentially telling that kid, Dylan, like, I've seen you before many times over, and this isn't going to be a problem, but you are giving us bulletin board material. See you tomorrow. That kind of energy. So, at the end of the day, Dylan Brooks is a player who's trying to fire up his own team as well as getting our head and hopefully have LeBron thinking about other things other than our game plan. Um, I think we don't want to get into a shootout in regards to him. I think if you can get 40 throughout the course of the game, or throughout the course of the flow of the game, I think that'll be something that would be gratifying to all of us. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't want to get into something that would, get Braun to overshoot or kind of take possessions away from our overall game plan, especially since I anticipate some very specific changes to that game plan. So we gotta kind of be careful with every possession. But I think the best way to silence that guy is to send him to Cancun, man. It's not necessarily to get in the back and forth with him or anything like that. All that's going to do is give him and his team more bulletin board material from which to come at us. And at the end of the day, they are a younger team. So we need to just kind of pace ourselves against them, be methodical, use their energy against them, and take advantage of what I think will be an interesting matchup tomorrow, which is still them being at a disadvantage. Just because they won the last game does not mean that there's concerns in regards to what we were talking about won't remain. And while Ja Morant played in that game, I have heard nothing about his status for this one. So even if he does play, he's still dealing with a bum hand, and he will have some concerns in regards to managing that from here on out. That's just kind of goes without saying. So at this point, I'm looking at the situation and I'm saying, will LeBron James overshoot tomorrow? Or will he play throughout the course of the game, in the flow of the game, and all that good stuff? Because we really do have some players that we can kind of attack them with that has had some success. Rui Hachimura most definitely is somebody we need to get the ball to. Um, and Austin Reeves, of course, has had a slow start to this series, but I think he's going to bounce back strong at home. But tomorrow, at the end of the day, you guys know I look at our arena as a very anxious place to play for a lot of players, man. And hopefully that will translate tomorrow in a playoff game to their team having anxieties. Anxiety arena is what we call it. So I don't anticipate Ja Morant will be 100% tomorrow if he does go, and I don't anticipate he'll have any issues having the jitters and anything like that. Neither Jaren Jackson as well, but I don't anticipate Tillman continuing to be able to score that much, and that was his career high. That's about as much as they're going to get out of him. So, Anthony Davis, at the end of the day, we got to understand our team was really cold in that game. Now, you're not going to find too many games where Anthony Davis, D'Angelo Russell, and God knows, mostly everybody else is going to have a cold night like that. That's not something you're going to see very often. We did do some things that we did not like in terms of our matching up and things of that nature and rotations. We talked a lot about that. And I've been listening to a lot of people in regards to the different things that they think should happen, and I kind of align with what a lot of people are saying. We just got to do the Vanderbilt Rui Hachimura swap in this series, especially if Ja Morant does not play in game four, because really all we need Vanderbilt to do is chase around perimeter players. And while Jones need to be respected, I'm pretty sure we have other matchups that we trust can handle that won't provide us some of the offensive concerns that Vanderbilt has been providing us to start this series. So that's where my head goes. I think much concern is going to be given to, if we do take a lot of scoring and production out of our bench rotation, where will we find it? The concern that Darvin Ham is shrinking his rotation and not expanding it, which will put more pressure on Anthony Davis and LeBron James and all of those guys that he uses to stay healthy, which is not a good idea given the fact that they have those feet injuries and things of that nature. So this is a series that I think is a bit soft for us, even though we just lost the last game. We should be able to finish this team off if we play properly, especially if Anthony Davis can find his shooting stroke. Now, one thing I was listening to today was Dan, the Lakers fan. He had his panel on, and they were having a conversation about Anthony Davis, and they were specifically talking about how he runs to the corner on a lot of offensive possessions. And that's something I understand the Lakers do, only because they probably want to kind of limit his offensive possessions. But I think we need to try to find other ways of lining him up rather than just kind of having those type of circumstances be what we settle on. If he needs to only play defense, there's nothing wrong with trying to find ways to hide him, but we definitely want to utilize opportunities to score the ball more so that we can sit him down rather than rely upon him to get stops every time down. We can blow games out of the water if we just lean on his scoring. And see, that's one of the things I'm thinking about. It's like, do we have it right? I think almost like our ideas is almost inverted in regards to what I'm looking at it. I think Anthony Davis should be focused more so on the offensive end, scoring the ball repeatedly. Because if he goes upwards of 40 and 50 points, they're not going to be able to match that without John Morant playing at a high level. Plus, if Anthony Davis is aggressive like that, we're more than likely to draw more fouls against their bigs, which should soften things up for Anthony Davis, which would translate to him sitting down. So I think when you consider what it is we want him to do, if we're struggling scoring the ball, or if he's struggling getting the rhythm, that's one thing. But if we're hiding him on the corner, thus making it so that a lot of his shots are perimeter shots and he's missing those, why don't we try to get a little closer and see if we can't draw those fouls against those bigs? Because at the end of the day, a guy like Tillman, he should not have been able to do what he did on the offensive end, because he should have been in foul trouble himself. So that's one of those situations where I'm like, I don't think we handled that as well as we would like to. And since we've gotten that data, we can probably take that to this team again. Because a lot of what they were doing at the end of the game that was frustrating us was putting themselves in a position to guard us, in some very wacky ways in the paint. We had to try to, dive pass and over the top pass the ball into the paint and try to get those guys good looks. And it just translated to only having Vanderbilt being able to lay the ball up in the end. All of that stuff was unnecessary to have to go through if we would have attacked them sooner and gotten those guys up out of there. So that's been my strategy these days in terms of my mentality. As you guys know, if you've been following me, and just get guys in foul trouble, and you won't have to worry about them. Now, one thing that I want to see the Lakers do also is get Wenyen Gabriel back into the lineup. I understand that Mo Bamba is focusing on his focus in regards to Ramadan. I don't know how best to word it, but he's celebrating Ramadan, I believe, and because of it, he may not be able to eat as frequently, and his energy may not be there. Couple that with the foot, I think it's a good idea to continue to rest him a little bit, because we do have the bigs that we can use in his stead for now. Although I do like the idea of using him with Anthony Davis. I also like the idea of him healing a little more from that ankle. So I've kind of evolved in my thinking in regards to Bamba. I want us to use him, but I also think that what we're doing in the first round will determine what happens in the second, third, and maybe fourth rounds if we last that long. And given the fact that I don't expect our core to stay healthy, we need to make sure that our surrounding players stay healthy, because they can attack in some ways that the Clippers may be able to as well without their stars. We're seeing a similar dynamic with these two teams. They should be able to win games. So that's really what it is to me. I don't want to lean on our stars too much. If anything, I want them to get healthier. I want us to lean on Rui a little more. Try to find ways of utilizing Austin Reeves a bit more. Get Lonnie Walker reincorporated back into this system. That's an important piece as well for this series. We talk about the lethargy. How do you say that? Being lethargic. whatever the case may be. Without energy, we're not able to match the intensity of the Memphis Grizzlies. And so when you consider what type of energy Lonnie can provide you, especially scoring the ball, for which we had issues with, I don't think it would be any harm at all throwing him out there. He's perfectly healthy, perfectly capable, well rested. So Lonnie Walker should be getting some minutes, especially if we're going to be getting away from Troy Brown and away from Malik Beasley. So also, it was noted by Laker Nation that Troy Brown didn't play in the second half. I honestly didn't notice, but he was struggling so much that I didn't necessarily see a problem with it. I think he walked away with like a steal. It just doesn't seem to be a series for him for whatever reason. And as I told you guys before, he doesn't match up well with Desmond Bane, or at least he didn't on a couple of possessions that I paid attention to in the third matchup that we saw against them. So I think it would be a good idea to continue to use him, but kind of in some lineups that don't have him being relied upon to score the ball. I also like the idea of him shooting the three. It comes and goes, but when it comes and goes, when it comes around, it's definitely something to enjoy and kind of provides a dynamic that can blow the other team out the water. So I don't want us to lose sight of the fact that he has a pretty good shooting stroke. And even though he's frustrating us with inconsistent play, I think removing him from the lineup may be a defensive mistake because of the ability to rebound and his length. I still like the idea of keeping him in second unit situations. We just got to use him in better situations. So that's the thing, man. I don't want us to get to a point where we're shrinking our benches if we don't have faith in these players, because that's just not the case. We've already seen Troy Brown play well. We just don't see him play well very often. We've already seen Malik Beasley play well. We just don't see them play well very often. So we need to use the players that we see play well more often. And that's really what it comes down to. And get those guys utilized into bigger roles as the playoffs increase. While simultaneously using the guys that have been struggling and put them in situations where they can succeed. And I don't think that's too difficult because we have the pieces to do so. So Tristan Thompson, is he going to get some looks out here? I mean, when you consider what his job is on a basketball floor, I'm not expecting him to go out there and score anything. I'm not expecting him to go out there and kick tail. I expect him to go out there and be just as loud as Dylan Brooks and match some of his fire. But if we're not going to put him out there in any rotations whatsoever, then he can't really get in Dylan's face. Let's just be honest. He can't get in Dylan's face if he ain't out there. And that's who we have brought into our team to help provide a little bit of enforcement. Now, I don't know how much he has left. I'm not expecting him to come out and play well. I would expect us to have a 4-on-5 situation with him out there, but that's not the point. That's not the point. I expect him to have energy. I expect him to play defense to the best of his ability, which is great. Really, when he's in shape, it's pretty dang good. So I don't want us to start him because that's the same problem we'll have with Vanderbilt. It's like doubling down on the same problem, only less energy. So that's just stupid. But you do want to kind of have him in lineups with offensive players like Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, matching him up with Rui, Braun. It might be a less spacing, not spacing. But, it's one of those situations where at the end of the day, if you put him on the floor where people can shoot, you should be fine. And we have those people. So I don't know if you want to put him down there with Beasley, and I don't know what's going on with D'Lo. But, Dennis Schroeder needs to be worked back into the equation, so I wouldn't mind seeing him on the floor with Schroeder working some pick and rolls, stuff like that. Austin Reeves, obviously, pick and roll, something like that. So, these are things that I'm thinking about. You wouldn't have him on the floor for longer than like 10 minutes and nothing like that, but I just think he's a good 6 fouls and a good technical foul or flagrant foul, or you know what I mean? That's what I want him to do, because ain't nobody else on this team I expect to do that. That's the bottom line. So, this is the playoffs, man. We got to get dirty. These guys was blocking shots against AD. They talking crap. At some point in time, we got to recognize that this is playoffs, and they're bringing the fight to us. They beat us without their best guy, and a lot has been said about how many games they win without him. They're just as good without him. Why? Because the same thing I told you earlier in the season. Ja Morant is not what makes their team go. It's the bigs and the surrounding players that ultimately make them go. The sum of their pieces, just like us, not the star. Ja Morant is just like a cherry on top that can score 30 and get continuity and do all kinds of things and make easy buckets happen for them. But at the end of the day, that's not what makes them win. Rebounding, interior defense, those are the things that help them. Perimeter scoring, if they can shoot the ball. That's the stuff that helps them win. And Ja Morant only contributes to that. He's not the core of it, the crux of it. That's more like Jaren Jackson. So we got to get him in foul trouble. That's the bottom line. He's been spending far too much time on the basketball floor against us, given the fact that he has issues with that, just in general. The fact that we're supposed to be the best foul drawing team in the league. Get the guy in foul trouble, especially on our court. There should be no reason he's out there comfortably throughout the first and second quarter. Not at all. We should be attacking him and putting him in positions to sit down. So these are things that I'm definitely thinking about overall. I just think that we complicate the game for ourselves just in general, and it ain't necessary. We have the personnel to do what it is we need to do. There's no question about it. And Anthony Davis, step up, man. Step up. The LA Lakers need you to bounce back big offensively. Defense is great. You've been averaging 100 blocks a game. You've been spectacular on the defensive end. No one's going to dispute that. But we're struggling scoring the ball. You attempted 14 shots and missed 10 of them. Those are possessions we need back. And I think he can get some for more than 4 possessions on offensive rebounds. He can get more than 4 buckets on offensive rebounds, rather. So I just think that we need to utilize him in the paint a little more and rest him in other ways. And his defense is just going to be there regardless. He's going to play defense. But trying to hide him on the offensive end, it's becoming a situation where we're asking others to score, and they're not necessarily doing so. And then you couple that with the plays where they're double teaming AD, it just makes for him being more so useless on the floor offensively than not, especially when he's missing shots. So maybe we can run some more plays that allow him to make off of others. If we're thinking past when a double team comes, we probably shouldn't have as much trouble. That's really what it comes down to. AD needs to be prepared for that a little bit better in whatever way he can, and maybe we can get him catching the ball in better situations so that he can be prepared for that better. So these are the things that we've been thinking about here, and we just want to see our coach make the adjustments necessary so that our team can utilize our big fella a bit better, man. Because, yes, is he struggling a little? Sure. But are there things that we can do to make it a little easier for him? I'd imagine so. So that's what I'm thinking there. And then D'Angelo Russell, we got to make a decision. If D'Angelo Russell is really struggling as bad as he is, do we not move him to the bench? I think he fits on some of those second unit teams a bit better than Dennis Schroeder does. And we've been able to get nothing out of Dennis Schroeder in this series. That is a big problem. And I think one of the problems is because Dennis Schroeder is not able to start, and he's not able to get those minutes and get those possessions that ultimately have him able to get in the rhythm he needs. So I think the Los Angeles Lakers should give that some thought. Swapping D'Angelo Russell, especially since we know he's dealing with his feet. I mean, he's not really able to give us everything we need right now. And if he's going to be a player that's going to be kind of lethargic and contribute to the lethargy out there, then obviously we need to make the change, because D'Lo's not going to do that. That's really what it comes down to. I mean, Schroeder is not going to do that. So that's where my head is, man. Get DS in the game a little more. Give him his touches. And I'm pretty sure he'll draw some of those fouls that we're ultimately hoping we can get off of Jaren Jackson and Tillman and some of these guys, Also, keep an eye open for Desmond Bane. Now that we've seen what type of shape he's in, now that we've seen Luke Kennard hit some shots, I just think Desmond Bane is going to be looking to be aggressive. Kennard has now established himself in this series, so he's going to be aggressive as well. And they're going to lean on him more. So be ready for those three-point shooters. They're going to shoot a lot. And they're going to probably try to get out to an early start on our floor. I see that coming. They're not going to want to just come out and let the game come to them. They're going to try to take it to us. So Bron being fired up should match their fire. I just hope that the three-point shot is falling a bit better. It's 1-8. It ain't straight. We're definitely going to need better Bron. Efficiency king is definitely going to be necessary, because if he doesn't come through shooting the ball better than 1 for 8, I'm pretty certain we're going to have trouble with the Memphis Grizzlies. So that's really what it comes down to, man. This is a very pivotal basketball game. We do not want to find ourselves down 1-2 in this series. because anything can happen in that game 4, especially with the health of our players. So we need to take care of home court, and put back on home court advantage, because at the end of the day, you don't want to play too many games on the road. That's a long flight. You know what I mean? And a hostile environment. So, yeah, let's put this team away. And I just wish the team played tonight, to be honest with you. But I think the rest is good for us. So, we definitely see the balance in that. And overall, I'm pretty confident, because at the end of the day, there's several things that happen in that game that you're just not going to see again. 4 for 4 from Anthony Davis. D'Angelo Russell being as bad as he was. Bron 1 for 8. These are things I'm just not expecting to see again. The fact of the matter is, Dillon Brooks has lit a fire under us. So if we come out and wet the bed, I'd be very, very disappointed in the heart that we show. That's really what it comes down to. Also, 76% from the free throw line. We're headed back the other way. We had gotten all the way up to 90% and 93% and all of that. LA, let's get our free throws together, because it's the playoffs. And judging by what I've seen all season long, we tend to fluctuate drastically up and down in terms of our free throw efficiency as a team. So that's something I want to see us get in order. Absolutely get that in order, because if we do, I'm pretty certain we'll win the games we're in. So that's really what it comes down to. We go to the free throw line more than everybody else, so we gotta take advantage of that. And I'm very happy that Sacramento lost their game. At this point, I'm rooting for that series to extend. That's really what it comes down to, especially since we're losing games. Regardless of who you want to win, if you're a Los Angeles Laker, you kind of just want the Warriors to tie that series up over there and extend that bad boy as long as possible. Because I tell you right now, if we run into the Kings, they're just in better shape than us right now, because they've been healthier all year long. So if they can get a little beat up a little more, that'd be a good thing. And if we run into the Golden State Warriors, where they're a little old, so more basketball, it's better. It's just better. You want more mileage on those guys over there. So, yeah, that's what it is. And do I think things have changed over there in terms of that series? I don't know. I don't really know, man. The Golden State Warriors are a strange bunch, and the Sacramento Kings have been losing for a long time. So it's hard to tell if this series has turned since Golden State has now won at home. But at the end of the day, Golden State's going to have to prove they can win on the road, and they have yet to do that. So that's really what it comes down to for me. And plus, there were some things in that game, sort of like ours, that I don't expect to see the Kings do again. Malik Monk was extremely cold. That's just not. He went 1 for 8, 1 for 9, or something like that. And so, as efficient as he normally is, I'm inclined to think that Golden State is in a bit trouble in Game 4. He's going to bounce back. So, yeah, that's what I think of that series. It could probably go up again. But nevertheless, I want it to extend. Hopefully Golden State does win that game and puts them in a position to have to go to 7, go the whole distance. That's what we want. So that's where my head is there. What else, man? Nothing that I think right now hasn't already been said. At the end of the day, I just want our team to play well tomorrow. If we win, lose, obviously winning is everything in the playoffs. But the most important thing is that we establish better tendencies going forward in this series. Because no matter what, they're down some players. And so if we do what we're supposed to do with our roster, there should be no reason we don't win this series. There really isn't. We're healthy enough at this point to go at them. We just have to identify what's not working and recalibrate and come at them. And understand that we got a really good coach over there on the other side, so he's going to make some adjustments that are just as difficult. I'd imagine his Game 2's adjustments were. So we got to be ready for him, man. Those guys are good. They did some good things last year in the playoffs. I would suggest us go back and study some of those, see if they're doing anything now that they did last year in the playoffs. That would be a good idea. So, yeah, that's what I'm thinking, man. Los Angeles Lakers, man. Happy to be in the playoffs. Once again, congratulations to the Lakers for getting to the playoffs. And the turnaround is spectacular. Even though we have high expectations, we definitely know how far this team has come this season. So, kudos to them. And, yeah, that's pretty much where my head is, man. Hopefully the Lakers can give us a really good game tomorrow. And, of course, I will have something for you before that game, as well as during halftime and afterward. as I always do. So, my name is BDO44. I thank you all for watching. Oh, salute the Kobe Minute, of course.